In this video, we're going to be taking a look here at our current conditions and also taking a very big look at the upcoming pattern where there is a whole lot to talk about. So we're going to get into that in just a little bit. First things first, I want to just walk you through these current conditions. We do have a bit of a major storm taking place here across some of the four corner states, some of the plains, as you can see, with some snowfall here, especially north of that line practically. And I'll even just draw in the area that's seeing mostly snowfall in there. And we can see a heavier pocket here for portions of Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska. And that's really where we're taking a look at the heaviest snowfall at this point. We have some isolated and scattered activity here across portions of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama there, even into Georgia and South Carolina as well. And then as you take a look at our Great Lakes and Northeast regions, you can see that there is just showery activity, mostly rainfall, but some snowfall depending on your location for some of these areas. Now, overall, this is a quieter look, so we're just going to briefly zoom into all these different areas here. Again, we are seeing heavier snowfall for some of these pockets in here, kind of south of Denver and east of Denver in Colorado, and then you're going to see areas north of Dodge City here, kind of in northwestern Kansas, seeing some of this heavier snowfall as well. That seems to be the pocket that's seeing the most at this moment. And then as we take a look at more of your kind of southeast, deeper south area here, this is where we're seeing quite a bit of this rainfall happening in here, possibly in the form of isolated thunderstorms, but mostly looks like isolated showers as of right now. As we take a look at the northeast here, we can see that there is plenty of this just rainfall happening across northern New York, northern Maine, and even some snowfall mixing in here for very far northern Maine. And actually, it's going to be the same story as we take a look at the upper peninsula of Michigan here. We can see some snowfall happening in these more northern areas, and then perhaps rainfall here in these more southern areas. That is the look as of now on the current conditions. I know it's not much, but that's basically it for now. What we're going to do is move on, talk about the upcoming pattern. Now here we are taking a look at the upcoming pattern, and we can see that as we move things on towards tomorrow, we're already going to have storm number 2 moving in. Actually, we have a low located right here over Indiana. We have this cold front swinging underneath, warm front here, so potential for severe weather out ahead of this isn't going to be able to be ruled out. We do see snowfall here for the northwestern edge, for Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, Wisconsin, areas like that. So we're going to be watching for severe weather underneath right here, like I mentioned, and probably more showery activity here on the warm front side of things. So that is going to be the look. As we continue things on towards Friday, again, I've kind of always noted this as a day that I think some thunderstorm activity could be seen for these areas. And so far northward, in fact, that I think some areas might get their first thunderstorms of the year along the kind of northeast and mid-Atlantic coast there. So if you've not seen your first thunderstorm yet, this might be the time. February 17th, believe it or not, it's very early for some folks. As we continue this on, we can see that very quickly we see cold air move in. So the jet stream is doing this. We see cold air moving in, right in behind all of this activity right away once that cold front moves through. That is very short-lived, though, because already by time we're taking a look at about Thursday here, the 21st, we can see that the jet stream is doing more like this. So we're seeing more of a ridge type movement here in the east, so southeast ridge trying to take back hold of everything. We see snow and cold moving back in for the west, and this is just a sign of that negative PNA pattern to return here. And we see that by the time we reach about the 23rd, the European model does have a very major snowstorm, 992 millibar low pressure center. Very major snowstorm here on the northwest side of things. So that's for Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, all of New England as well. And then potential for severe weather again underneath all of this activity as there is a cold front, warm front dynamic going on here. So there is a whole lot to really talk about here with this storm. And look at that, it becomes a 983 millibar low pressure center right near Cape Cod. And this causes a very heavy pocket of snowfall to develop for West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. We're going to take this with a grain of salt, though, and I know you guys hate hearing that. The reason being is that this has not been very common this winter at all, but it has been common for models to show this and then fizzle away with it. So definitely can't rule out the fact that this will eventually potentially just completely fizzle away, like I mentioned. Now, there is a cold front here, warm front somewhere in there, and I would be watching for thunderstorms underneath like this for the southeast. And we can tell that there's another storm moving into the United States out west, as there's just tons of snowfall moving through the Rockies, Cascades, and Sierra Nevadas there. as we continue things on, we get to the end of the model run here, and we're practically left with very, very quiet weather. There is some snowfall out west, as you can see, and some showers in the southeast, but really there's nothing major happening from coast to coast by the time we reach the end of this model run. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the total precipitation, and as you can see, this model definitely thinks that a lot of this activity is going to be moving up the east coast again, so a lot of these storms doing this rising motion, and the majority of the precipitation is happening here in the United States. There is another heavier pocket of storminess, and that's going to be this northwest corridor as some storms move down, bringing snowfall here for a lot of the Rockies, Cascades, and Sierra Nevadas. Now, the total snowfall here tells the whole story. As you can see, very, very heavy amounts of snowfall expected here in this corridor. And we can even see that a lot of these storms are going to be moving just like, well, not quite like that. I would say more like this right there. And on that northwest side of things, again, you get snowfall. So this European model says that these areas are going to start to see some very active snowfall patterns here through the next 10 days. We need to watch this closely. Again, I am taking this with a grain of salt just because this has not been how the winter has gone, but maybe things are about to finally turn around. This is a sign of that. Anywhere in the grays is a dusting, if anything. Blues 2 to 6 inches, purple 6 to 10, pinks 10 to 20 there, and then your pastel blues going to be 20 to 35, and pastel pinks even for a lot of these areas in the Sierra Nevadas and Cascades, that's going to be 35 inches plus. Certainly a whole lot of snowfall to talk about there. Now, the temperature pattern here on our European ensemble model tells the full story. It's obviously extremely warm today, so we're seeing this warm air surging here for a lot of our eastern United States regions. And then our cold and snowfall is going to be mostly for the west over the coming few days. Again, but once this cold front rolls through, we can see it right there progressively moving in. We see it moves in right around Friday into Saturday, so we're left with some colder air finally for the east here for Saturday, very, very early on Saturday morning there. Now, as we just continue on with this, we can see that the cold lasts about a day or two, and then what we see is the warm air returns with this southeast ridge. So we're seeing this really take hold here. It's how the whole winter has gone. This warm bubble in the east really, really, really just not letting go of the pattern. And we see this really stick around until about the 25th, 26th time frame, where this European ensemble model does say some cold will be able to infiltrate a bit, but we still see this warmth putting up a fight here, so certainly not going to be a full-blown trough in the east or anything, because, I mean, really a majority of this cold is still over here in the west. It just has a lot to work with there, and then this warmth pushes back and cold pushes back. We see a lot of just really messy battle zone between the two temperatures there, but eventually we see the cold air able to kind of swing around here. And then this is by about March 2nd, so a little bit too little too late, but we do see the warmth mostly pushed to the central United States. So this trough, I would say, is mostly sending the cold in both directions around that ridge, which is possible. It's just not the most common pattern. So we will watch for this potentially. This European ensemble model is typically extremely accurate, so we could be seeing some cold for the beginning of March, but it is a bit far out, so we're going to watch and see. Confidence isn't super high yet. Now, anyway, guys, that's it for this video. This has been a very quick one. I'm trying to preserve my voice and just keep it, kind of quick and simple, kind of easy here, and then we're going to get into more stuff in the coming days. So be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day, sickness and health, and pretty much no matter what. Also, you can hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we do upload. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.